Oh, yeah!
You went live right when I was taking my knee brace off. Sorry.
Okay.
Back in a second.
Hey, welcome to Tavern Talk, a book-only, full spoiler talk show based on the epic fantasy series The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and join me, as always, are Jansen, Brother Dan, Beth Domont, and Tom from Dragonmount. How is everyone? Look at those happy faces. We have a great show. It's been a couple weeks. We've been busy, but we're back to get into our favorite book series. Today we're going to be talking about The One Power. Some people might have some questions about it. We're going to get into all things The One Power, and we're going to be here for 90 minutes. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see all you. Yeah. Oh my God, it's already starting. Matt Staggers.
Dagger.
Matt Dagger, we've missed you. It's been a while. If you haven't already, please hit the thumb button and like it. If you are not subscribed, do so. And yeah, we're going to jump into this about The One Power. And thanks for everyone being here. You know, we're not talking about certain subjects, and I appreciate everyone agreeing with that and being cool with everything. So let's just have fun book talks. That's what we do anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Jansen.
Hey,
let's talk The One Power.
What up, Jay?
One Power. So, you know, all of us out there, especially us five, and everyone listening, you know, we're huge fantasy fans. Not just of Robert Jordan, but of so many other books and genres and other things. One of those huge things in a lot of fantasy worlds and books and genre is magic. And in the world of The Wheel of Time, the magic is the one power. And the one power can be broken into many, many different facets. But we're going to start with it saying, you know, it is the power and the force that pushes the universe and the proverbial wheel of time itself. And it is what makes everything go. Now, that one power is, at the beginning, broken into two parts. The male half, Saidin, and the female half, Saidar. And I have had a lot of time during the strike that I'm on to think about the one power. And I've got so many questions to ask all of you out there and you four, what you guys think. The first is, this is a question which I think some of us know, some of us don't, and it might not even be true what I think. So, the one power itself. Is the one power something that is sentient? What do you think, Tom?
No, but the wheel is. That's my opinion.
Yes. Yes. What about you, Beth?
I'd agree.
You'd agree? And you guys?
Brothers, I'm sorry, the question was, is it sanctioned?
Is it sentient?
Sentient.
Sentient. Yeah. Does it have like, is it alive or does it have cognition?
Does it have a will? Does it have something that forces what it does because it wants to, not because it just is?
Can something have a will if it doesn't have a brain?
Yes.
Name something that has a will that doesn't have a brain.
Magical things that don't exist.
Magical things. Yeah.
I would like to think the sun.
What's that?
The sun.
The sun has a will?
Yeah.
Huh.
Internal combustion, will to radiate heat.
Yeah, but that's not its will. That's just chemical reactions.
Okay. That's what goes on in our brain too. But okay, you're probably right.
Will is like you know, cognizant.
Yeah.
Of doing of things.
Yes. I do agree with you, Tom. I do think that the will is...
And I think the wheel does that. I don't think the one power does that. I think the one power is more like existence's blood, in a sense.
Okay.
I love how Gnome and Garden, we've been on for like 6 minutes.
Nuclear,
and Gnome and Garden is already throwing the corrections in chat. It's a nuclear issue, not a chemical issue.
Actually,
Get it right,
hydrogen-
Tom. Get it
Yeah,
right.
fuck no.
Listen,
Okay.
hydrogen is exploding a lot. Those are chemicals, all right?
Yes.
I have the will. I have the will to explode. Hubba, hubba, hubba.
Well, you know,
After I have Taco Bell, I explode.
Yeah, I want to explode in will.
Harmony.
I like finding truth in the books and the texts by Robert Jordan, the creator. And I do believe you guys. I think that we have found, at least I have found some truth to that when they do refer to the power and compare it a lot as water in the books, which is a natural chemical and something that does not have a will but has a lot of force and can do a lot of things. And, you know, I think that, you know, in the case that I'm talking about, the Aes Sedai, who are always talked about as the water wheel, and we can throw the Ashaman into that, I guess, that they do have a will. And they make the One Power do things through their will and their knowledge. And, you know, I think that the One Power is one of those things that needs, like you guys said, a will to do great things. But it doesn't always need someone to work, correct?
What do you mean?
Well, the way that I've always considered the One Power, let's put it this way: you're in a car,
Yeah.
and you have a window up.
Okay.
But if you were trying to get a hold of Sidene, it's as if you stick your head out the window, and it's just nonstop, like, and then you pull your head back, and it's gone. And so that, to me, Sidene is always flowing by super fast like that. And it's just when you channel, you're sticking your head out the window.
Okay.
That's hilarious, and I love it.
I love that. I think that's hilarious too. But what I was thinking about, you know, with the One Power, because people are and humans are such small little things in the grand scheme of creation and the universe and everything. So while the One Power is being used by the wheel, I guess the universe, is the universe, the wheel itself, using it like people do
No, I think Jason.
at all
I
times?
think Jason Hartley has it right. Like the One Power just exists, and some humans can touch it, and some humans can't.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't do anything. If people don't manipulate it to do stuff, it doesn't do anything.
But that's my question. Is the wheel itself channeling right now?
I never.
I don't
thought
think
of-
so. I think
Yeah.
it is like a power source, like hydroelectric power.
But it
Yeah.
does have sentience, though, right?
That's a theory.
So here's my question. The only sentience that there's probably more, but what I'm going to focus on is the sentience of the wheel is when it uses Taviran to change things. When it spits another Taviran out.
Yeah, I would say it's less sentient than it is more like a computer. Like, it doesn't have a will, it doesn't have a desire, it doesn't have a want. It has its, like, the creator programmed it to be in balance.
Okay.
So when the shadow throws it out of balance, it spits out a Tavarin to balance it out.
So when the wheel needs to be in balance, does it channel very quickly to rectify that?
It doesn't
By
need to
making
channel.
Taviran-
No, because
like
the
making
pattern,
Taviran
because the
channeling-
pattern is woven. The pattern is woven. It doesn't.
Yeah, the wheel
But
doesn't
wait.
need the One Power. The One Power just is there.
So explain how sometimes you can be Taveran and then not Taveran, and then Taveran as is needed. But it's not like you're born Taveran; you
No.
become Taveran. So
Yeah,
who's turning the on and off switch?
The wheel of time.
But that's not you.
Wheel.
But the wheel's not channeling to turn it on and off. It's doing something
No,
else.
It's the ability of the universe. Like, there's no hard and fast explanation. Like, we know for a fact that you can become a Tavaran and then stop being a Tavaran randomly. Like there's no rhyme or reason when someone's a Tavaran or when someone's not a Tavaran. We know that it's not tied to genetics. We know it's not tied to a soul, because you could be reborn and not be a Tavaran if you were in a former life. Just because you're a Tavaran doesn't mean you're bound to the wheel. That's another thing we know. But we don't know how it makes Tavaran.
But we know that it does, according to Tom, talking to Tuon in Knife of Dreams, and this is just one of the examples, because there's more, but according to Tom, she says to her, Taviran are people that the wheel at time itself spits out to rectify things.
So, but that's a 20-year-old talking to a 60-year-old in an existence that's infinite. Like, do they really know? Like,
okay, but you yourself says that the wheel itself is sentient. So, and how do you know that? What is the proof other than the fact that it spits something out to rectify or fix itself?
It's in the companion, and like Robert Jordan has said it. Like, it's in the text too if you read into it. But if you like.
It's the first thing we hear. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Yeah. The wheel, and like that's like basically the nature of the entirety of the Wheel of Time is to seek balance in things. Like even we're full spoiler, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So like even in the end of the series, when Rand like has the choice to kill the Dark One, to eliminate the Dark One, he realizes that he can't do that because it would throw existence out of balance. So he has to keep the Dark One. So it's not about triumphing over evil or defeating evil. It's about existing in balance.
Okay.
Hey, real quick. Robot Adventures. We'll answer that question soon.
Oh,
definitely. Good question.
My whole question was, I was trying to figure out, because this episode that we have today, we're talking about the one power. So what I'm getting at is I want to know how the one power is used by the wheel itself, because they say that the one power powers the wheel.
I would say it isn't.
Okay.
I would think of the wheel is thought of like not as a water wheel, but as a spindle, like you ever see when it weaves thread. Yeah. So the wheel, so the one power is more just like the flow of existence. Like this is like metaphysical ideas that don't really have answers, but like the Wheel of Time like isn't a physical thing. Like you can't go and stand on it. Like it's not a big wheel made out of wood. You know what I mean? Like this is like metaphysics, fourth dimension kind of thinking, like, and this is what they researched in the Age of Legends, which is pretty cool. Like this is the type of thing that like when they were researching things in the Age of Legends, they were researching things outside of dimensions, like outside of time. Like they were able to make pocket dimensions, like create them themselves outside of time that didn't affect the rest of existence. Like they call them vacuoles, and that's where they did like experiments and stuff.
Okay.
So like they had an understanding of it, but they didn't really know how it worked either. And like the Forsaken say that, but again, like they don't know. They're bound by the knowledge that they have too. So
okay.
Was it a vacuole that brought the
weird though?
What's that?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Vacuoles. When you say when you described a vacuole, it makes me think of the Aelfinn and Eilfin. Is that how they got here?
No,
experimenting with that.
No, the vacuoles are literal. Like think of them like if anyone plays D&D, they're like bags of holding that you can like go inside of.
Okay.
They literally created them for research purposes. Like they would do experiments that were too dangerous to do, like in the world there. So like if there was like, I don't know, an explosion of like balefire in every direction, it wouldn't do anything but kill the person in the thing. And when they talk about vacuoles, they talk about them like detaching from the flow of time and floating out into nothingness, like because of things that they did. So like they don't really have full understanding how they work either. But like so another thing they were researching was interdimensional travel. Literally interdimensional travel. So like going to the other worlds, and I think this is a theory. What I'm about to say is a theory. Is that the Aelfinn and the Eilfin are just another dimension.
Uh huh.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Or
We
another
talked about
planet.
that.
Could be
Like
another
they have
planet.
their whole their fourth dimensional time and space.
Yeah.
Like
Or it could be another planet.
Okay.
But I would say that even the one power itself, it is not dictated by at least time, perhaps space. But if we have things like a stasis box, if we have things like
They exist.
Like the
the
eye
one
of the
power
world
exists
itself.
outside of space and time.
time doesn't affect it at all. Even the Boar, where the Dark One's prison, they're not really aging in there unless you're right near the edge, and then you get all aged up. But but if you're in the middle, then time doesn't mess with you. So there is a separation between space time and the one power.
But that's not.
in-
But the Dark One's prison and like aging has nothing to do with the one power. It has to do with the humans that ended up inside of it by accident.
Well, I mean, no, isn't wasn't the Boar sealed by using the one power and
Well,
the
the
Stasis
shield,
box is a one power
the
thing.
shield,
I mean,
the shield itself is a shield of the one power, but they don't know. It doesn't exist physically. Like it exists, and again in another dimension. Like that's what Lanfear was doing. Lanfear was researching other dimensions, and they were looking for a power other than the one power that both men and women can both use, so
right.
that they didn't need to have Sidene and Sidar together. But they didn't know that the power because like they were like, oh, I sense something over here, and like a woman said, I sense it too, and a man was like, I sense it too. So they were like, oh shit, that's a power we could both sense. So lo and behold, it was the true power, and it was the dark one. But
Right. Well, the one power itself is so if we use my metaphor of sticking your head out the window, right?
I like that one. That's funny. That for Sidene, it works perfect.
So you it is genetic whether you have access to even open the window or not.
No, it's
Well,
tied to your soul.
I don't. You know, I think that is actually there's arguments for both.
It's tied to your soul. Like you don't have to be born. Like when you're reborn, necessarily, you're not reborn in your same familial lineage.
Okay, well, what about Tayleen's family?
Who's Taylene?
He
Taleen
was
was
the very powerful,
yes.
very powerful apprentice Windfinder. He was as strong as Nynaeve or stronger, and she
Oh,
able
that one.
to-
Okay, yeah. What about her?
her mother, her grandmother, and her aunt all consecutively were born with the power.
And there's probably 100 other. That's one out of millions. So like, but they talk about the heroes in like Bridget or Birgitta speaks about how like she's never been like it's not part of her soul.
Totally
that
no.
And Robert Jordan has spoken about how the one power is tied to the soul and not to the life. So like if you were to be burned out or stilled, it wouldn't affect your ability to channel in another life because your soul is spun out into another life. It doesn't necessarily follow your familial lineage.
Okay, but in the other argument is also in Shadow Rising, Viren told Perrin the reason why her and Alana came to the Two Rivers was because they had found so many girls who could channel. And they said they were surprisingly impressed with Terran Fairy. And Viren said because too much inbreeding, I think. So that's
Yeah,
too
but
much outer blood. Outer blood. Like,
yeah, that was just a joke though.
okay. But
I
it's
don't
a
think
argument.
so. I am with Jansen.
No, I don't
on
think
this
so
one,
either, yeah.
actually.
I'm not like I would almost say it's factual to say that the reason why there were so many people who could channel in the Two Rivers was because there were three of the most powerful Ta'veren to have ever existed there. So they kind of pulled. They kind of pulled. They pulled important souls to them, and the souls had the ability in them, whether it was. Well, actually, it's also just because you're born with like the spark in one life doesn't mean every time you're born with the ability to channel, you're going to have the spark. You could be one or the other, but
So
like,
if there's no if there's no genetic component, then the whole culling of the herd theory is like nonsense.
Well,
It's not
that's
that
an
there's-
unreliable narrator again. Sheriam was just throwing it out in the universe. That was just her theory that
Hello.
gentling men over 3,000 years and not letting them procreate. But then you look at the Sharans, and their entire thing was ensuring that people could channel would only have relations with people who channeled, so that their children always had people who channeled. That was,
Well,
I mean, so
that
there
means
is
it's
something to the
genetic then.
genetic line of
Yeah.
things.
there's
There is-
something there.
The whites. It was the whites in the White Tower who proposed
Yeah.
that.
Neither of Rand's parents can channel. We don't know if his aunts and uncles could, or if his grandparents could, but we
We don't know
unequivocally
if his mom
know.
could or not.
Well, I mean,
Tigraine went to the White Tower.
yeah, and she was turned away. So
do that.
it's not necessarily tied to it, but it's kind of like it. Like this is again like just theory. Like we don't know for sure.
Yeah,
we
this
can
is
only
great.
operate off
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
I
Great,
think
yeah.
there's probably a component to it. The only thing we know for sure is that the ability to channel is tied to the soul. And
Yeah.
we know that not necessarily like you're born in your same familial line when you're spun back out.
Okay.
No, that makes sense.
Great arguments. Great arguments. I love it.
So
Okay,
another
my next
question I have then about the true power then. So so they blocked up the Dark One. We always have, like when they mention, oh, they sealed the Dark One at Shadow Ghoul, and there was a 4, and I always picture like a bubble, right? And they drilled into a bubble,
Me
and
too.
out came bad stuff. But in reality, this boar and this power that they were tapping into has got to be more like on a quantum level or something,
It is.
right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. I
And
mean,
so this was almost like
this is
a
like
Higgs boson type experiment.
The
Smashing
Higgs-
atoms together.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
like Lanfear worked in a research college. That's where she worked.
Mm-hmm.
The Column Dan was a research college, and she was working with like a bunch of other Aes Sedai or channelers, like to find a power, and like that's what they were doing. They were doing essentially the research they were doing was at the level of like the CERN Super Collider. Like that's the idea of what they were doing.
yes,
Hey Tom, what sorority was Lanfear?
I don't know.
That's funny.
well,
you say call him Dan, and I said no. I call him Brother Dan.
I'm all. I went to the sister school, Hot Dan.
What was the nerd the nerd sorority from Revenge of the Nerds? It was like Mu something.
Yeah,
Omega Mu. It was the Omega Mu.
Omega Mu.
Jansen's got it. If I got a movie question, Jansen's got it.
Omega Moose.
Lanfear was one of the Omega Mu's for sure.
Lambda, lambda, lambda. Remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we had a great question in chat, and or to one point, Lee Science said the whole Flickr thing is a part of that studying of other timelines. What do you guys think about that comment? Flickr, I don't even know.
I don't know if the Flickr thing, are they referring, some people get this mixed up, the Flickr and when Rand tried to take the Shinarans, Matt and Viren and Loyal and Viren through the portal stone to Tomenhead, and they went through all of those lives. Some people get those mixed up because the Flickr thing was when they went to the first town that when they were chasing Pat and Fane. Correct? Am I right about that or am I wrong?
You're
No,
right.
the portal
No,
stone.
I thought they're
portal
the
stone
same
is
thing,
different
yeah.
than Flickr, because
They're one and the same, yeah.
And every time
Yeah.
it's like, I went again, loose Theron, right? That one?
Brain fart right now, sorry.
Yeah. No, when Varen takes them through the portal stone the second time and they appear on Tomenhead is when the flicker happens.
Okay. Then
All right, so
There's a
what?
flicker at another point too, like a big word that says flicker, but like
Yeah.
the one that everyone talks about is the one when they go through the portal stone.
Wasn't that an inn in that one town, the Flickr Inn? So how does this relate to the studying
run
of the
by the hour.
timelines? Was it like a leftover discovery that they were just stumbling into, and that's how it happened? Like, how is this related to the studying of timelines?
You know, I think it's instead of a timeline, because I don't know if they were in different timelines as far as the past, present, and future. I think they all experienced full lives, but many of them.
Mhm.
So it's more of like a multiverse of madness type of thing, right?
I
multiverse of
agree
madness.
with that, but I think it's the way that the multiverse was prior to it just branching out everywhere. So like
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
there's one true timeline, and then like because you could see it in when Rand goes into the portals and they're in one of the what if worlds, and Lanfear talks about it too. Like the more further away from like the real world the changes get in the portal worlds, the thinner the world is, or the weaker the world is. So like there's a true timeline, and then the further away you get from that true timeline, it's like a gradient. It's that like the worlds become more unstable because there's really only one true timeline, and then like, you know, just beside that they're pretty stable, you know, timelines, but as you get further away it gets weaker and weaker.
And we have several things that mess with time itself. We have the portal stones.
Yes.
We have Tel'aran'rhiod itself is kind of time wonky. We have the accepted test. We have a lot of different. Even the Eilfin.
Oh, we have more than that. Even we have the Wolf Brothers.
Time is I think I think the one power is outside of time as we understand it. I mean, Balefire. Balefire is a great example. Balefire, in fact, dominates time.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of. It burns the threads which affect time.
Okay.
Right, but yeah. I mean, it brings people back from they were never dead, which is kind of
it burns people's thread out of the wheel. So like it removes things that you did, but
Yeah.
it doesn't affect time. If that makes sense, it affects the people and the things they did, but not time itself. Like you can't use
that's
Balefire
interesting.
to go back in time.
Oh, okay. So if the sun rises at 6 o'clock a.m. exactly, the sun wouldn't drop back down a tiny bit. It would still be rising.
Yeah, you would have to. There's nothing to Balefire to make it do that.
Yeah. Okay. I yeah. In my head, I guess I had it just. The sun would go. Ooh,
You
and then it would go back
Balefire
down.
something. Like Balefire doesn't affect time. Balefire affects a thing or
okay.
a person.
Okay, so Min's visions exist outside of time, in a way.
Well, they're always in the future.
The Fades exist outside of time.
Okay.
How so?
Old. So those are the other thing that exists outside of time. So I have another.
Why do they exist outside of time?
Yeah.
Said that they exist outside of time by Semerhag herself in her POV. That Agenor said that they were slightly outside of time after he had tested hundreds of them, killing them, trying to find out how they shifted from shadow to shadow. And then even Semerhag said she had tried it and tested some of those Murdra herself. Her POV says that. And right after Catwin spanks her, or right before Catwin spanks her, I can't remember, but her POV says that. It's either there or right before she kills.
Does it say outside of time, or they exist outside of the pattern?
It's good. Well, yeah, that's a good question. Outside of
something.
slightly outside.
Come on, Nomi Garden, get this quote
Yeah,
for
come
us.
Yeah.
Come on.
By the way, we do have 20 people watching. Thank you very much. Go ahead and invite a friend. Let's see if we can get to 30.
He's a
That'd be
true
awesome.
database. So I have another question for you guys, and I'm going to ask this to Beth because I do love her voice, even though she's healing over there, and I'd like to hear her. So
She's slightly bionic still.
Yeah, I have a theory that every single thing that the one power touches is affected by it.
Like it leaves a residue, or it,
Something behind. I have many examples.
I mean,
All the way up to-
so like when somebody uses air and picks up a pitcher and pours wine from a pitcher to a goblet, once they put the pitcher down, it's still a pitcher. I don't think the one power
I agree with that.
the one power was used as a tool, but I don't think it had any lasting impact on the pitcher that was the object of the power. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes sense. But like what I'm talking about is like, so the one power flowing through a human being, the effect that it has on that human being is it ages a lot. That human being ages slower, correct? Are you right about that?
Yes, if someone has the ability to channel.
Yes.
At least women. We don't
Yeah.
know for sure for men, but I would assume it would be the same for men.
Well-
Well, yes, we do, because Luce Theron was 400 years old. Never mind. Yes. I'm thinking third age Aes Sedai. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that. And the one power can be used more so to enhance things than to change them, is what I believe. Like it can make water into ice, but it can also make people live longer by just being there.
So
Not
you mean
by-
just the one power itself, not channeling the
Yeah,
one
so
power?
if a woman could channel, like learn to channel, then never channeled again, would she still age slowly?
I think
Awesome.
I think the way to answer that would be to look at the people who are stilled, and they age regularly after they're stilled. So once they lose their connection to the one power, they age normally. So it's
do they-
not like
Be connected to it, or do they have to be channeling with it?
that's a question that we don't have an answer
Well,
to.
we
really,
kind
'cause
of
we don't see
do
anyone.
because the Suldam live normal lifespans, and we know
Yeah, because
that
they don't channel.
they have access to the one power. They don't touch the source, but they can see the leaves. So we know that they could, if they let themselves channel. So
Huh.
it's the actual use of the one power. And this is actually discussed with Egwene when she's talking about letting the Aes Sedai retire into the kin, because it's discovered that it's the Oath Rod that shortens the lifespan of the Aes Sedai. So by releasing themselves by the three O's and retiring into the kin, they would be able to live as long as some of the women who can channel from the knitting circle.
Yeah.
That's
So Beth, do you think that it's like every moment that that they are channeling, like the power is flowing through them, there's something happening to them, whether it's chemically or metaphysically, that's slowing their aging. But if they had the ability to channel and never channeled, their aging wouldn't slow.
correct, because you look at women, at the wise ones, they age. The wise ones who can channel, they do age. They do show signs. They don't have ageless faces like Aes Sedai do.
Well, the ageless faces are from the Oath Rod too.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So there is an aging factor that does happen. I do think
slower.
right. It slows. Right. The term is slowing. Right. And,
Yeah.
And so I think there is something. The more you channel, the younger you're going to look. Basically.
Oh, you think it actually reverses aging?
No, it slows your
It
aging.
slows it down.
So
Okay.
the more you channel,
But if
the
you were-
slower you age.
But
But
yeah,
if you were born with the spark, but just never channeled,
Then you would still age normally.
you would age. So,
But-
so it has something to do with actually embracing the one power.
using the yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
so here's another I can factually prove this. So the one power being manipulated in a certain way for a woman of the White Tower who's been through the arches, who has taken the three oaths, can make a woman immortal.
You're going to have to factually prove that, because I don't believe that.
I will prove that to you right now.
Okay.
A a woman becomes an Aes Sedai the right way, the traditional way, becomes an Aes Sedai. She is an Aes Sedai.
She's handed a ring
She's handed a ring. She
and
is
told she's an Aes Sedai.
She's a full Aes Sedai. She's been an Aes Sedai for 200 years. She gets stilled, and it makes her young again. Not just young looking, but by all scanning and all everything by the One Power, young again.
Mm-hmm.
She goes back to the White Tower. She uses the Oath Rod again, and to retake the oaths to become Aes Sedai again. So the aging, the slowing starts over again.
But she's stilled, so she'd need to be healed of her stilling.
Maybe he's healed, yeah.
She is healed. She has been healed by Damar Flynn.
Doesn't seem
But
like
we
a
don't-
cool loophole.
We don't know if that actually if that resets her age.
It says it. There's more proof to say that it's true than there isn't.
There's no proof either way because
no. The very fact is, Swan Sanche, when she was still, she was looked at by the Yellows. She had not. She just didn't look young. She had been made young again.
yeah,
There's
but her
things that say that they are made young again, not that they look young again. If that's
but
true, and they go through it all again, then they could be another Aes Sedai for another 200 years.
Yeah. That's a theory though. That's not a fact because
It's
like
a
we
theory
also.
that can't be disproven.
I mean, it can
How?
because it can't be proven. So like you can't. This is the argument of like you can't argue a negative. You have
But
to
there's
prove the positive.
Proof that
You
it's
can't.
then there's this not.
There's not proof. There's conjecture because like we the proof would be a woman who is stilled, like living to 200. I mean, a woman who's an Aes Sedai living to 200, getting stilled, getting healed, and then living to 200 or 300 or 400 and living 1,000. That doesn't exist yet. So that would be the proof.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
like if Catsuin got stilled today,
Do you know
Should
what
be
would
hot.
happen? You know what would happen. You know unequivocally what would happen.
all I know, the only thing I know that would happen
Is she would
is
get
that
younger.
she would be young again.
But you have to remember, Suwan is only
40.
50, 40,
40.
yeah, 47, something like that. So and Cat
Oh.
Swain is
How old was Lyanna?
40.
around the same age.
The same
Yeah.
age. They were accepted
the
together in New Spring. They were
Yeah,
just
they were
newly
accepted
raised
together.
at the
Lyanna
same
was
time.
old. I thought
Yeah,
Lyanna
no.
had been a novice longer.
Not that much longer. She's not
I mean-
hundreds of years old.
Yeah, but they.
Listen, if you were a novice for like so if Suwan is 40 when she's an Aes Sedai and Liane is 200, that means she spent 100 years as a novice or an accepted, and that's just not the fact.
Yeah,
That's
happened.
not the case.
But we also have Bannon. Remember Bannon? No, not Bannon. It was the two Aes Sedai in Carrion. One was it not Dravendra? One was Red that Damar Flynn
Right.
healed, and the other one Catsuin made Stan Carrion to watch her, and she kept thinking about it in one of the rooms, and in her own POV she said one of the things that they always heard but they never wanted to look too closely was when a woman from the White Tower got stilled, she became young again. So there is some considerable proof, and in my argument, that they do become young again.
Is it possible? Yes, but I would lean more toward that it's not gameable like that, because we know when the Aes Sedai die, they don't die of they don't just have a heart attack. Like, it's not like when an Aes Sedai reaches an age in which they die, they don't have a heart attack or a brain aneurysm or something. They just die.
Totally. I get that.
And by
Yeah.
the way, Lyanna's only 5 years older than Suwan. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
I just
So
looked it
she's
up.
like 50. Yeah, I was just about to. I was trying.
Yeah.
She was born 952 NE. I was trying to look what year it was. Like, I always forget what year it is. But like, I think personally, my theory on it would be that the age type of thing and the stretching of the human life to an unnatural state is tied more to the soul than it is to like their physical body, because like when Aes Sedai die, or when channelers die just from old age because they're so old, and their bodies are examined, there's no cause of death. They just die. They just stop. So I think the soul would
unless
be like,
they were offed by Halima.
Yes.
Just saying.
well, no, but I mean in the Age of Legends before.
I know, I did.
But no.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, my
Unless
bad.
Halima
my
had their
brain
way with
is
them.
no, my brain is on like a you know.
I just thought of something that's against my argument, that when Bonwyn was still, they never said any, even though she worked in the scullery, they never said anything about her being young.
Because she was
also-
very old when she was stilled.
Yes. And what was the other Aes Sedai? No, her last name was Merlin. No, she wasn't.
I mean, also Satala Nan didn't become young when she was stilled.
Satella
either.
Anan burned herself out. It's different than being stilled.
It's
Yeah.
different
When you
than
burn
being
yourself
stilled.
out, you can't be reconnected to the source.
You can't be reconnected. I know that, but she was also unbound by the 3 O's, which is so like
True.
she didn't suddenly de-age though. So like there's
Well, no,
something
that's what-
else going on.
That simple, those serious circumstances that I said, they're very particular. That's why I'm saying a woman that has gone through the 3 O's, all the things that happen.
Bonwyn did.
Yeah, true. And you're
Satella
right.
Anan
There's an
did.
argument, yeah, and there's an argument that she didn't get young. You're right, because they wouldn't said anything about that.
Hey, Brother Dan, do you ever feel like you're auditing the wrong class in college?
Agree.
Like I one time tried to take some crazy philosophy class, and I was like, nope, nope.
I love talking philosophy of the Wheel of Time. That's my
No,
jam.
this is yeah.
I love where this goes.
But if to get off of Aes Sedai and aging and stuff like that, because it's supposed to be more about the one power.
Yeah, and the effect
so-
of the one power. So yes,
Someone in chat earlier asked about the what was the power that Rand used to light his pipe, and there's another thing they don't really have an answer for, but I have my theory on that is that it's just basically the creator giving Rand like a boon. Like, you know what, Rand, you did so much and you fixed, the fuck up here. You just can have God powers, essentially.
I think that's kind of right, but I think that it's more to it. In every single aspect of the Wheel of Time, right down to the last time that Egwene even says it, for everything there is an opposite. For Saidin, there is Saidar. So I believe for the true power, there has to be an opposite, and I believe that is what Rand used.
Whoa.
I think the one power is the opposite to the true power.
I don't, because
Yeah,
No.
I'm not sure if I do either.
things, and it affects things differently when it's used. It corrupts things. It does to Ishmael what it did to Ishmael by just using it. And
Yeah.
that also being said, which
And the
brings
one power enhances you when you use it.
true, but that's exactly what the one power. I mean, what Sidar and Saidin do differently to men and women. So I honestly think that there has to be an opposite to the true power, because there's an opposite to Saidin and Sidar, which is Saidin and Sidar.
They're not
So-
opposites. They complement each other.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're
They
not
complement
yeah.
each
I
other.
believe
They're-
that if the Dark One has a power, then the Creator has one, and I believe
See, and that's
That's why I think-
so robot adventures, and you are kind of on the path of what I think. So, and what we have evidence of,
Yeah.
the creator is dead. The creator doesn't exist anymore.
Oh
The
my!
cre-
You say, oh wait, is Nietzsche joining
save
our
the
stream right now? God is
creator-
dead.
Well, no. Think about it like this. Brandon Sanderson. A slight spoiler for the metaphysics of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. Sorry, but basically, for God to have created existence, the creator, or whatever you want to call it in their magical worlds, they unmade themselves and gave their power to be existence.
What about
So the one power is actually the creator's power.
what
It's
about
just what's up?
what about Nakomi?
Nakomi is nothing. She's not a channeler. She doesn't use any abilities. We
So
know
at
that.
the end, who says it's done?
We don't know.
The creator.
That is one
Yeah.
answer. That is not
Yeah.
the answer.
Yeah, that's a speculative answer. Jansen, I have a theory that Nakomi is the so Nakomi, like all women, are get there before men, right? Like they mature, they age better. Nakomi transcended to that level that Rand transcended to at the end of the book. She already was there.
It says it in the companion. It says it in the Origins of the Wheel of Time. What Nakomi is. She's just a person.
Yeah, she's Leia.
Yeah, she's just a person. She's just a person that the Jedi chose to, who choose to be in the position that she's in, and she's kind of like the avatar of the creator in the sense of Shadar Harren is the avatar of the Dark One, but Nakomi doesn't have any powers per se, like, or at least that's what it says. Like, that's all the information that Robert Jordan left. So that's all the information we
I
have.
thought Nakomi was a manifestation of Brandon Sanderson.
Well, Nakomi is not her position, the character maybe, but not her position in the Gena'il and their function.
Right, I get that, but I thought that
Yeah.
Nakomi was written specifically by Brandon Sanderson,
I don't know
inserting
if
an alternate. For some reason, I
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he created it, but her position and the way the Gena'il function was there already.
So what was she doing? Was she doing sleight of hand shit that Aviendo is not perceiving? Because Aviendo's like she's making things happen without using the one power.
Maybe she's got Terangrial. I don't know.
That
We don't
masks.
know.
Well, there's another theory to that too, that I had, and that's that the dagger that she was carrying, or whatever Terangrial that she might have had on her, was accidentally activated by her talent.
Yeah. So what about so we have, like, all right, so let's think about it like this. We have the one power,
Yeah,
we have the true power,
yeah.
we have Rand's weird ability. Is there any other powers outside of the one power?
Talents.
See,
I mean, like, manipulable things that you can manipulate
Okay.
existence with, not just like I can see
I
Tavarin and I can smell violence. Like,
How about
think
dream
my
shit?
understanding of this and the way I see it is that we have the one power, which is made up of Sadar and Sadie. Then we have another power that also helps the universe, but that's part true power, part whatever it is, Randy. That's
Norman Garden's got it down there, by the way.
Yeah,
To be honest, we
so
never heard-
Brandon Sanderson created Nakomi based on the line
Yeah.
of Robert Jordan's notes. Yes.
Well,
and so
yeah.
that does answer the fact that the person who was in the cave that said very good, this is good, is Nakomi, because Brandon Sanderson turned her into Nakomi. That's
Yeah.
what the
I always thought it was
origins say.
Nakomi.
Yeah, but her function and the Gena'il's function was always there. It's just Brandon wrote the character, yeah.
All right, let's all say hi to Jellyfish Sweat. I mean, Jeremy Sweat talking about jellyfish. I love it. New names, new people.
So do we? I assume that Rand can light his pipe every time.
yes. And
Rand
Now
literally
that's
has the
a
power to do
talent.
anything. He literally has the power to do anything.
Right. Okay. But he
so-
can't channel per se.
No, he can't. He doesn't need to channel. He could
just
channel if he
manifest.
wants. He could literally
So-
do anything.
Is this I remember a long time ago, someone on the Dusty Whale said that he believed that there is a form of will magic in the Wheel of Time, and that has struck me, and I've stayed with me. I believe that, especially when you talk about, the wheel has a will. What is that? Is that a source that people can tap into? And I believe that some characters can exhibit, I think, when our, Edmund's Field Fivers, level up.
I think it's more.
I think
I think that's more like Min and Hurin, and seeing to
is a will magic. See, I think Egwene leveling up is like a will magic. I think
that's just channeling. That's her as a person being smart and figuring stuff out.
and she was also forced.
Yeah,
But I also thought Rand riding the pipe was like a will magic. Like he willed it into
That was
existence.
well, he did, but that's a power that was given to him as like a reward for winning. Good job, buddy.
So,
By who?
Telramyard would be will magic.
so without you guys laughing at me
Right,
for
right.
the theory,
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
I've been afraid to say this theory to the world of Robert Jordan, to all you guys from the very beginning.
Shit.
This is a safe Jansen, we're a safe place.
Well,
Hey.
since I finished the book from the first time.
I got to change the music. Let's get deep.
So, I always don't understand why no one ever said this, but this was the last battle, right? Prophesized through forever that the last battle was happening, right?
Ish.
So if this truly was the last battle, which I think it is, and everything's a circle, right? I think we ultimately came to the end. And Rand is the creator, and that's why he has those powers. That's why he has to
Possible.
start back over, and we're about to start it all over again. It
That
was
would
the last battle, and there was a reason for that, I think. And I think that Rand just became the creator again, which goes with your theory that the creator killed himself at the beginning. And
Yeah.
he has those powers because he is the creator now. He can do whatever he wants.
I don't know if he's the creator.
I like that.
He can do whatever he wants.
I
but
love that
also,
theory.
What do you mean by this is the last battle?
The last battle really was the last battle.
As in, no one's ever gonna fight again.
Yeah, no.
No,
Never.
the end of everything. We're starting over again. This
Yeah.
is where the ultimate.
It was either gonna end. Yeah.
We're
So
at-
yeah.
Is that the
What
end?
you mean, like
But-
existence stopped?
Yes, we're finally back at the beginning.
I
Then why
believe
did
that.
it just end that way? Why did it end with people continuing and moving on with their lives?
Because
Yeah, no.
Because Rand allowed it.
I think it's always been that way.
No, I
He's
think
the
here's,
creator.
I think when Rand pulled the Dark One out of the pattern, which is what the F is that? You could talk about that for hours alone. I think that was a moment of creation, and he could at that moment have killed all of eternity, or allowed it to continue. And by allowing it to continue, it was an act of creation itself. And I love this theory. He definitely leveled up to godhood. I just don't know how to frame it in this world.
I was with you until you said existence stopped.
No,
That's
No, he could have stopped all of existence. He could have
yeah.
stopped
He chose
time
not
at.
to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Like he became a god at that point.
the thing. It even says it at the beginning of every book. There are no beginnings and no endings.
So, but you just
Yeah.
said it all ended.
But you just said
no,
it ended.
back to the beginning.
So what? So there's no fourth age,
Exactly,
fifth
there's
age,
no
sixth age,
beginning,
seventh
no
age.
end.
There.
No,
It's
any
just
not.
reset back to first
All I'm
age.
saying is Rand is the focal point for anything that could even have a start and an end. The last battle is the only thing that we really know is the last thing. It's the last battle. That's what it's always talking about.
I challenge that, Jansen. What I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like
I'm on
like,
Team Jansen.
See, but there's no. You're not saying anything. Like you're not saying anything that isn't.
All
that
I'm
isn't,
saying
like-
is the creator.
I think
so,
you said a lot.
Jansen, my point of
No,
view
but I
is
mean,
that
like,
this.
but you're saying words, but they're like none of them are changing. Like yes, the last battle happened and the Dark One is sealed, and the prison is perfect again. Rand was responsible for it, but and Rand is the Dragon Reborn, and the dragon gets reborn. So but that's all things that we know that happen all the time. So, but what is the theory though? Is what I'm still confused on.
Every last thing that we know is that Rand has a power that cannot be explained other than he can do whatever he wants.
Well, yeah, okay. I think here's the deal.
Maybe.
If we know that Rand never had any say in any of this shit going on at all. This is the life of a Taveran, is that you are swept along whether you like it or not. And so guess what? This is how the Third Age ends. This is how the Third Age always ends. He thinks that he has a choice. He doesn't. He's never had a choice. He always lets the Dark One live, and we always go through this cycle. He can't destroy the Dark One. That doesn't exist. That option is a non-option because it never happens. It cannot happen. He always chooses to let it go.
I don't like the idea of I see what you're saying, Dan, and it's possible, but I don't like the idea that it's all fate to be good all the time, because then why is there a story?
We are all under the
Like-
assumption that the creator created everything, just because we call him the creator. If there are no endings and no beginnings, and there aren't really any endings or beginnings, and it's always just been a circle, maybe the creator created the seals.
What? No, the people made them.
The seal on the Dark One's prison,
Yeah.
the original seal on the Dark
There
One,
wasn't a seal. It was just it was a bubble, a solid bubble.
who put them in?
And
Who
it got
put
bored into. It
Which
got
the
drilled
crea-
into.
Yeah, at the
Well, the
moment
creator
of
did.
creation.
Before
Yeah.
The creator
There
put them
was
there at the
no
moment
before
of
that.
creation.
there wasn't before the drilling.
But they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
Why was the Dark One in there? Didn't the creator put him there?
yeah, at the moment of creation.
At the moment of creation.
Exactly.
But it was one big huge carapace surrounding the Dark One. It wasn't seals. The men created the seals during the War of Power
okay.
to
Maybe
try
the
to
creator created
contain him.
Okay, so what I meant is he created the prison, the original prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes.
exactly what Rand did at the end of A Memory of Light.
He didn't create it.
He didn't create
fixed
it. He fixed it.
No, he created it.
He did not.
destroyed it.
He broke the seals
And he remade
that were
and
remaining.
made new
He didn't remake it. He fixed the
fixed
hole.
it. He fixed it correctly. If you remember
Yeah.
to Perrin's analogy,
Yes,
he
have-
didn't remake the whole thing brand new. He
He used Sidene and
and
Sidar
Sidar to properly mend
All
it.
right, Nomen Garden.
He reforged it. He made something.
Yes,
new.
using the correct
Very well.
materials, because
Not
the
new.
last time, 3,000 years earlier, they only used Sidene.
But
The
he
reason
made-
why it was flawed was because they didn't use Sidene and Sidar.
But he
Because
fixed
the
the
women
Board,
wouldn't
not the
help.
whole thing. He like Chad agrees with us too.
He made something new. He
He
created.
didn't make something new. Perrin even uses the analogy, like Beth said, of taking something that's broken and putting it back together.
Where's my book, man? I have a quote from
Go
Rand.
find it.
He says
Go get it.
he
So
had
the
to
seal by the creator at the moment of creation is also a little bit problematic. That sounds like it is an unreliable narrator. If otherwise,
I mean, it is. It's only people saying that. We only see humans saying that.
but I mean, he was sealed though, so it is a rough thing to say. I mean, it actually did happen. They did find this
Yeah.
thing that held
Yeah.
the Dark One.
I mean, but like what we're talking about now is less the one power and more like philosophy of where did life come from at first. You know what I mean? Like that's not
Right.
that's not really the like one doesn't mean the other. Like if we get back to the one power, like the creator probably created the one power, but that's like when we got to this, it was like the reason why we ended up here was talking about the true source or the true power, the Dark One's ability, and the one power. And is there another power, the creator's power?
So
I think the answer, and usually, like if you actually follow scientific method here, which is usually the simplest answer, is usually the correct one. The one power is probably the creator's power, and the true power is the Dark One's power. Like they are actually like mirrored versions of each other, but one is corruptible and one enhances you and is good for you.
But
Is-
they even say that the three become one.
Yeah, Sidene, Sidar, and the true power. 3.
Three.
So is the true power?
No odds.
Does it matter what gender you are?
No. So the female Forsaken use it and the male Forsaken use it.
It's soul based.
No, it's Dark One based. The Dark One
Dark One
grants
based,
the Dark
Oh,
One
I-
gives you
Sadie, no, okay, yeah.
yeah. The Dark One gives you permission to use it. That's why they drilled into it in the first place, was because both men and women could sense it equally. So they thought they had discovered a new power.
So what entity granted Rand permission to use what he was using at the end?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Or,
You don't
have to assume if it's
and is
anyone,
Rand's,
you'd have to assume
does
it's a
Rand's
creator base.
does Rand's ability exist outside of lighting his pipe? Can he do anything truly? Like that's just what I think.
I think so.
But
too.
like we don't know that. We don't see him do anything else other than light his pipe.
No.
So
But we don't, but we do know that he has a power that we can't explain.
yes.
That
What?
Is it just to light pipes though? It might just be to light pipes.
Is it just light pipe?
The possibility of him being a god and him just having the ability of a cigarette lighter are equal. Because we don't have any more information.
I agree. All we can do is talk about the clues that we have. You're right.
Yeah.
I have a theory about the naming of things. I think that so the true power, I don't know if it's necessarily just for the Dark One. Based on the name alone, I don't know why it would be called true power if it was just something the Shaitan had
Only the
access
Forsaken call it that.
Yes.
to a certain degree.
That-
The true power. Oh.
Named it.
And the Forsaken
but-
also
and-
refer
and
to
also
themselves as
the-
the Chosen, so...
Yeah.
The irony of having something called the One Power, which is in fact broken in half to two segments.
And then there's also a third power that the Dark One has, so is there one?
right.
No.
So calling it the One Power and calling it the True Power, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Kind of odd that if we're trying to create a world of balance, that the one power would be specifically gendered and that's kind of neutered, and the true power is not. It's open to everyone.
Now,
Except
I,
the true power corrupts you and destroys your will, like your individuality.
Does the true power de-age you, while the one power slows you down? Does it speed
No
you
one
up?
knows. No one knows.
gives you a rather horrible
Fun. I think those are things are
Just
punk
ta.
rock. If I
Yeah.
went to a Marilyn Manson show and I had like some hella saw, I think like he pulled me on stage. We'd
They
sing a
sell,
duet.
really cool contacts that look like that, by the way.
Oh yeah,
So, yes. They're called
Google.
sclera contacts.
and they
They're your
move.
whole eye. No, well, it covers your whole eye.
Okay.
They do have ones that have like dashes, like black little flecks across them. So you probably, I mean, they don't move, but
So I like to think of the True Power as like all the Forsaken while they were in the Boar. The Dark One implanted just like a little chip into him. So it's like Tesla, right? When the pandemic happened, suddenly Tesla, like all the Teslas could go further. He's like, all right, let me give you guys more miles per gallon.
well,
And
he
they
did
could-
do that.
They could go like, or not gallon per watt. And so they like could go 200 more miles. So there was just a regulator on
Yeah.
there that they
I mean,
happened to just,
He
the
did.
cars
He
could do it
did
the whole
actually
time.
do that, though. He did actually do that. Like,
Yeah,
That's
remember,
insane.
don't you remember
The true power.
well, no, but I'm saying though, like, remember how Rand cuts the connection between the Dark One and the Forsaken at a certain point? Like, that's literally what he did. He did do that.
See?
That's so
But
funny.
I don't think it's not when he was in the Boar. That was prior to the Boar.
Shaitan Musk.
Brother Dan, if sight-in is like sticking your head out like a dog and letting your cheeks get all big, right? Sight-R is like driving, like sitting in a driverless car and just letting it happen without freaking
Yeah.
out.
That's T.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
I think channeling as a woman is trying not to pee. Channeling as a man is sticking your head out the car.
The self-driver one and because you have to surrender to it is the perfect analogy. So you have to like let it, and you guide it.
But don't pee.
So
What are you talking about peeing? I don't, Brother Dan.
I was
Sight-in
gonna
is
walk right
is
past it.
a woman trying not to pee. That's sight-in for you.
That's
What?
every time I picture the bud, picture the flame.
Exactly.
I-
Wild man's
I
got
start
it.
giggling because I gotta kind of pee.
Wyatt's got it. Because it's also shown that Saidin and Saidar together are more powerful than the true power. And
So-
we're only calling it the true power because that's what it's called in that time. Like, words are just made up by people to quantify things that, for us.
Yes. So to talk about the one power a little bit more, in the books, there are some people who have vast knowledge that is better than others in the one power. A couple of those, I think that the one person they talk about who had the most knowledge of the one power and how to use it differently, how to make Terangriel and how to do things, was a guy back in the day, and his name was Jorlin Corbison. We have Get Him from Theo Brand through Luce Theron, and he made the most unbelievable, astonishing Terangriel of the Age of Legends. And Rand was afraid Rand/Lews Therin's afraid that the Aes Sedai and their gentling of men had killed one of them, possibly, who could have possibly matched that guy. But we have a couple of other people, and these are very obscure names, so some of you guys might not remember them.
What does that have to do with the one power, though?
How it's manipulated and how it's used. How people in the books perceive it. Some people perceive it as just a tool, while other people perceive it differently, like Katswin, who in her POV talks about why she's upset and disappointed that some Aes Sedai weren't able to innovate with the one power like she was, because it's a tool
But that's
innovated with.
That's nothing to do with the power. That's the person.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, well, and the power.
But I mean, like, like, you know, if you have two people that are on equal footing for strength and have similar talents in the one power, if one is just more innovative and outside of the box thinking, they'll make more things and do more stuff. And if one person's more rigid and follows like the status quo, there'll be less. That's the person though, and not the power.
Absolutely. So what I'm trying to talk about is how different people in the books use the power differently.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
It's just a point in, let's discuss, right? Yeah, it's not making a claim, I don't think.
Because some Aes Sedai seem to
I was
be-
just trying to relate it back to the one power.
Oh, no, I get it. No. But some Aes Sedai seem to understand the one power differently than other Aes Sedai do. Some
It's just,
people-
I would equate it to like some people understand calculus and I think it's fucking a foreign language that I can't
right.
read.
What does the
Oh.
word that Lane uses? Comparable matrices?
This is a great point.
She says comparable matrices, and she tries to explain to Nynaeve how to make ter'angreal. And that's what I think is fascinating, that Elaine, how she perceives power is so different than Nynaeve, who can do things that Elaine has said looks like a tapestry made by a master craftsman that she could never do. And yet Nynaeve can't understand how Elaine makes ter'angreal.
Yeah, I think that's like the example of like an artistic eye. You know what I mean? Like some people have it, some people don't. Some people can look at a wall and tell you it's 22 feet long, and you know the color is mauve in like a second. And some people could take, so you can hand somebody, you know, like this eye drop thing that's green and be like, reproduce this color, and they can reproduce it in like 10 seconds with a palette of colors perfectly. And then 100,000 people, if you gave them their entire lives to do it, they wouldn't be able to do it. That's more of a person thing and
Totally.
not a one
Which-
power thing.
I brought this up because what I'm doing now is I'm breaking the one power into more pieces instead of just the two we've been talking about. Because
But
I
it's not the
believe
one power
I-
though, it's the person.
Well, it's the person, but it's also the person in the different levels of different powers that they can use.
It's not powers. They're not different powers. They're just
Well-
different ways of using the same
Well,
power.
I'm talking about, like, water, fire, spirit, earth. It's broken down into those parts now. And different Aes Sedai who have, like, stronger sides of earth or stronger sides of fire can do things that certain Aes Sedai with stronger, say, of air and spirit cannot do.
And vice versa is true.
Vice versa. Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I'm talking about how the power can be broken down into other facets and other things. Like, it's not just, it breaks down smaller into many, many, many parts. In fact, all the way till when Rand was fighting the Dark One, he broke it down into hundreds of pieces. Not just spirit and fire, but different even from that. So it can be broken. All I'm saying is I'm exploring the differences of what the power can do as it being broken down in smaller parts.
Yeah. And I guess that's another thing too, is different strengths within different weaves. Why is the one power broken into 5 different, I guess, families, subgroups, phylum? Classes? What?
Well, you know, that's the trope of magic systems in fantasy. You know, you have the different elements. You know, the 5 elements.
Does the true power follow that? I always thought of the true power as just kind of like being like a supercharged
Yes.
bolt. How
No,
so?
it does. Well, they talk about weaving it in the same way, and that it uses the same powers to make the same kind of weaves, but they're different. Like when Lanfear describes using the true power, she talks about how it produces, like, using the true power to make things that the one power can do is the same. Like directional wise, like instructional wise, is the same, but different because it's the true power at the same time. So I would assume, like, we don't ever actually see them pulling weaves of the true power earth or whatever, but it's when they talk about it, it's talked about as being similar yet different.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's true.
I would even go further to say that the one power isn't broken up into 5 powers, that the one power manipulates the 5 elements that exist. And so does the true power. So, like, those 5 elements of earth, air, water, fire, and spirit exist without the one power, and the one power is just able to manipulate those things into weaves or spells or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I've never thought about it that way, but yeah, I can see that because even spirit still exists. So.
Sorry, I'm just going. Somebody said it. I was thinking it.
Did
Wyatt, Wildman Wyatt?
the one power escape?
Yeah.
Did Rand channel the one power to the end of the Eye of the World?
What?
Did Rand
Oh, yes. I mean, we
use
can't
the true
really-
power?
No. We can't really, like, like, if you want to talk, there are 2 separate discussions, because the Eye of the World, one power, physics, and rules don't match to the rest of the series.
Okay.
So, like, they're 2 different worlds, because when Robert Jordan wrote that first book, he hadn't made all the rules up for the one power, and, like, they don't match up. They just don't. They don't function the same way in the later books. He retcons things from book 1 into the rest of the series. So those are 2 different discussions.
Yeah, and the easiest way I think to think of the Eye of the World is it being a stasis box, and you could put anything in a stasis box, including a power. That's the only thing I can think of. So
Grendel wove a ribbon of air. Working with the true power was similar, yet not identical to working with one power.
It's almost
A weave
exactly
of the
what I
true
said.
power would often function.
and there are things you can do with the true power you cannot do with the one power.
I don't think so.
Yes, they say that. I'll find
Okay.
that. There are.
Well, I'm sure when the Forsaken are trying to tempt people to use the true power, they would say that. But there's no evidence of that being true.
In Demon Dread's POV to himself, he says it.
Well, of course. I mean, he's going to lie to himself. Like,
No, he said true bad. No, he's talking about when he was trying to use the pigeon or the bird, the hawk, to see things. And he was just mad that he couldn't use a crow anymore, that accursed thing. And then he starts talking about the true power. And he says, of course, there are things that you can do with it that you can't do with the one power. So there are some.
so we're going to we'll trust Demandred.
Yeah, no, yeah, and here we go, Grendel. And there were some weaves that can only be crafted by the true power, is in the quote
That's
here.
from Grendel as well. So, I mean, maybe they're all
We'll
wrong,
trust
or maybe
Grendel
we
too.
believe what we
I mean, but when they're talking to themselves in that situation, they don't have a reason to lie about it.
Yeah, because they like it's the same thing that narcissists, like, all of the Forsaken are narcissistic, and some of them are pathological liars. The definition of narcissism and pathological lying is lying to yourself and believing those lies. That's the definition of it.
True.
Like, they fit that bill. They are sociopathic, psychotic narcissists.
And I agree with everything you said, but I do kind of believe that you would be able to do something
There
different
might be.
through power.
Yeah, there's just no direct evidence of it other than them saying that.
Yeah, because at the very end, at least we have evidence that Rand's power or whatever he can do is you can do that without thinking.
I because we know the Shadow Spawn are directly connected to the Dark One somehow, from however Agenor made them. So
Okay.
I think in this case, specifically because Demandred was talking about trying to use a hawk or an eagle, where he wishes he could use a crow or a raven, because the crows and ravens that they use are directly linked. They're Shadow Spawn. They're not
already on
regular
payroll.
crows and ravens.
Yeah.
So I think there's something there more than it's.
That's good. I like that.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like getting the right port for your old iMac.
Exactly,
Like it's
exactly.
like you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need an adapter.
Like the one power fits in the adapter for Shadow Spawn, but the true power is the actual real one. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea that all crows and ravens are Shadow Spawn. I like the idea that some crows and ravens are Shadow Spawn, because I don't like that trope in fantasy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that too. I think that. Well, they even say that some of them might be. They say that many times in the books, that not all.
They
of
don't
them,
know if they are or aren't, so they kill all of them. Yeah.
They're in the. They're
Wait,
in
what is that logic? Some A, not B. Some right? Like I'll figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
It is a logical fallacy. All right, this is okay. This is where we.
I think we came to.
Okay.
I think we came to terms with the one power stronger than the true power. The
Yes.
true power is. I think you should put a vote in chat before we end. Is the one power the creator's power, like the true power is the Dark One's power, and let chat see what they think, and then
Okay.
you can, before the show ends, we'll see what they say.
I'm on it.
I think it's interesting that I think the true power might be stronger because you have the owner's manual. You know what you can do with the true power. The one power, man, people don't know quite what they can do at all. It's like the Greatest American Hero, where they got this cool suit, but they're not really sure how to use it. All these cool terrain growl they don't really know how to use. At least with
Maybe
the
the
true power, it's coming right from the source. And yeah, drugs are bad, but if you're getting it right from the guy who makes it, then at least it's pure.
Yeah. I think the true power wielded by the Dark One would be stronger than someone wielding the one power, but I think the true power wielded by a human, and Sidene and Sidar being wielded by human, like Sidene and Sidar will beat the true power.
Tom, what's the poll again?
Is the one power the power of the creator, as the true power is the power of the Dark One?
Yes or no? True or A or B?
So yes, yes would be yes. The one power is the power of the creator, and no, it's not. It's
So
something
Lifeline Fool thinks that the true power is stronger but more dangerous and more volatile, so you can't use it as long.
So then, is it stronger? Then really, what constitutes as stronger?
Maybe it's like a Ghostbusters ectoplasm kit. You can't use it like for too long, but it's just one.
That's like saying stainless steel
All right.
is stronger than water, but like you could do whatever you want with a piece of stainless steel to water, you won't affect it, but eventually that water is going to destroy that stainless steel. So which one is stronger?
The Robot Adventures agrees with someone.
Aurelia.
Hey, let's hit that like button.
Red Dagger agrees with someone too.
All right, everyone hit that like button. And the poll is live. It's one of the most complicated polls I've ever made. We'll see if... It's like one of those like crazy like California bills where you think you're voting for one thing and you're actually like supporting Nazi like pilgrims to
I think it's pretty simple.
to
Minus
your
the spelling, minus the
preschools.
spelling errors.
No,
I think it's pretty simple.
Nazi pilgrim preschools is what I said.
All right, guys. This will be fun.
Yeah. On that note,
I
Yeah,
talked-
we haven't
I
been on
took-
in a while.
I took like after the marathon, and then like the premiere week, I took like I haven't talked Wheel of Time other than Monday. So it's been building
Yeah.
up in my head.
Nice.
no, this is amazing. No, it's you guys are great. It's getting spirited. and respectful at the same time. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's all puppet.
This is my favorite thing to do. I'm so happy to have people that can debate with me all the time. This is awesome.
All right, yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
I
come
mean,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
We love you. We in fact we are committed to talking book stuff every week with you, regardless of what's going on. This is what we do. You know.
This is what we do it. And yeah, everyone come return at 5:40 in about 15 minutes for our second stream of the day, and let's have some more fun.
Yeah, we're
Everyone
going to be
go
hanging out with Morgan from Podcast of the Dragon.
Right on, guys.
Another beautiful soul. All right, everyone, run for your lives. This is
No,
the
but
way
don't
the-
run too
Oh,
far.
Yeah, don't, yeah. Just run around the house.
Are
Just
you going to
jog
end the poll?
for your lives.
Are you going to end the poll?
Oh, that's a great point. What is the poll? All right, let's end the poll.
Poll.
And the poll. All right, so it's okay.
That's why
Here-
Ryan needs to know
the
what
results
to
are
work
in. Drum roll, please. Is the one power the creator's power, as the true power is the power of the dark one? 71% said yes. All right. I do. Okay. Okay.
Way to go, guys.
Okay.
That was fun.
So is the one power more female and the true power is more male?
All right, type.
no.
All right.
Another poll. No.
Even
All right.
Steve.
We gotta go.
All right.
We'll see you guys in like 15 minutes. So look,
Guys, no one ran. The numbers, everyone's still there. No one
Everyone's still
ran.
there. No one
We
ran.
said run.